Hello Sunflowers, and welcome to our very last video of 2024. I can't believe that we're already at the end of 2024. And for this last video of the year, I thought that it would be fun if we talked about our crochet trend predictions for 2025. Like, what do we think is going to be popular in the world of crochet in 2025? And when I say we, I do mean we, because I've actually done a couple posts about this and I've done a couple shorts about this, asking y'all for your opinions of what you guys think is going to be popular this next year in crochet. So after I share my opinions, I'm going to be sharing a lot of y'all's opinions towards the end of the video. And if you didn't get a chance to previously tell us what you think is going to be popular in the world of crochet in 2025, and if you would like to share your crochet trend predictions, let us know in the comments below. Obviously, I have no way of actually predicting what is going to be popular in the world of crochet. I'm not even a professional at this. I am just a girl whose grandma taught me how to crochet, and now we have found this amazing community online of fellow crocheters and crafters and cozy folks, and I thought it would just kind of be fun for all of us to just talk about what we think is going to be popular within the crochet and craft community over the next year. Now, throughout this video, I will probably show some pictures, like to give you guys a visual representation of the things that I'm talking about. Most of these photos are not going to be my own, but I will have a Pinterest board linked in the description with links to every single photo that I use in this video. And the thing that I love about specifically using Pinterest for this is because so many people on Pinterest will actually have their photo pin like linked out to like their tutorial or their pattern or their Etsy. So hopefully if you see something that you like in this video that gives you inspiration, you can go check out their original pin on Pinterest and maybe even follow along with their tutorial or pattern. All right, does everybody have a cozy drink and a crochet project? Let's dive in. My first prediction for 2025 is that I think we are going to see a rise in scrap yarn projects. Now this one is kind of an extreme example of scrap yarn. This ball I have been making out of any bit of yarn I have that is like truly a scrap, not even enough to be like a small skein. What I'm truly talking about whenever I talk about scrap yarn projects are projects that can be made with skeins that are about this big. I know scrap yarn projects are already popular, but I think next year we are going to see an astronomical rise in scrap yarn projects. And here's why. Crochet has obviously been around for a very, very, very long time, but it really started to skyrocket online around 2020 and 2021. So many more people started crocheting. So that means that there's so many people who have now been crocheting for like 4 or 5 years. And I feel like it can be around that time period whenever you can just start having so many tiny skeins of yarn where like none of these are honestly big enough to make a complete project. But if you start to take them all and you put them all together, like you could make some really cool things with this. So I really think that in 2025, we are going to see a huge uptrend in scrap yarn projects. And I might already have my first scrap yarn project planned for early in the year, so be on the lookout for that. And with the rise of scrap yarn projects, I think that we are going to see an extreme uptick in scrumble projects. Do you know what a scrumble is? Hold on, let me go grab one of my scrumbles. This is a scrumble. So basically, it's kind of like a free-form granny square, even though it's usually not a square. I mean, you definitely can make them squares, but scrumbles are basically just these little free-form crochet things that you can make however you want them to be. You usually combine, you know, single crochet all the way up through treble crochet. You can work them on the round, you can make them flat, whatever you want, and then you just sew them together to make beautiful things like this. I have yet to finish a scrumble project, but I want to so badly, and I know that I'm going to in 2025. I just think scrumbles are a wonderful way to use your scrap yarn, and they are so freeing and just such a beautiful expression of art through yarn. I love scrumbles, and I don't think that they're talked about enough. I think that this could be the year that scrumbles really become popular. And while I think we are going to see the rise of scrumbles, I actually think we might be starting to see the fall of granny squares. Now, not all granny squares, but I'll get to that in a second. But y'all, I just like can't tell you how often in my comments I hear complaints about granny squares. And I get it, especially if you're like me and you get bored very easily on a project. Like, don't get me wrong, I love granny squares, but if you tell me I have to make 58 of the same thing over and over and over again, I'm gonna get bored. It's probably never going to get done. But while I think we could see fewer like traditional granny squares, I think that we could see a rise of giant granny squares and tiny granny squares. I feel like in the second half of this year, we've already started to see that. Like, have y'all been seeing the absolutely giant, enormous granny square projects that people have been doing? They are absolutely incredible. I'm obsessed. I definitely want to make one of the giant granny square blankets at some point in time. I'm just still emotionally recovering and physically recovering, as some of y'all know, from whenever I made my 18-pound Christmas sweater, so I haven't quite got the nerve yet to make something with a giant yarn again, but eventually I would love to make one of the giant granny square blankets. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have been seeing these like micro crochet granny square projects, and they are so adorable. Y'all who micro crochet, I am amazed by you. I don't think I could do it. Literally, working with worsted weight yarn is difficult for me sometimes. Doing the teeny tiny crochet, y'all, blows my mind, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And that actually leads me into my next prediction. I think 2025 is going to be a massive year for micro crochet, but specifically for micro crochet accessories. I think we're going to see so many micro crochet earrings. I think we're going to see micro crochet necklaces. I think we're going to see micro crochet hairpins. I've already been seeing a lot of the micro crochet earrings, specifically at like craft fairs, and I think that this is just going to be huge next year. And part of the reason why I say that I think micro crochet accessories are going to be so popular next year is because I feel like in the past I've mainly seen micro crochet for like little things that you sit around places, but I have this feeling that we are going to be trending away from crocheting small things to like sit on your shelves. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. But this leads me into my next prediction, that I think we are moving away from small plushies in crochet. I know that that might be a hot take. I think for most of us that crochet, we have already crocheted ourselves a ton of little things to sit around our house. And we've already crocheted a ton of little things and gifted them. I think we're going to see an uptick in things that serve a dual purpose. So I don't think plushies are going to completely go away by any means. I actually think we're going to see an uptick of some other types of plushies. I think 2025 could be huge for pillow plushies, any sort of giant plushie that can be used as a plushie, but also a pillow. Do you guys remember those like backrest pillows that were like really popular in the 90s and 2000s? I think we could start seeing crochet versions of those. Things that are just very, very usable, but also super cute. Like imagine one of those backrest pillows crocheted, but has like an adorable like frog face on it. That would be so cute. And I also think that we're gonna see an uptick in things like this, things that are like an e-reader stand or like a book stand, but they're also a plushie. This is the kind of plushies that I think we're gonna be seeing more of in 2025. This hot chocolate is so good. Something I think is going to be so popular in 2025 is colorwork crochet. Whenever you basically crochet to create like tapestries and pictures, I feel like I've already been seeing more and more of this on Pinterest. And I think the thing that has been making people hesitate for this is I always get comments that are like, oh, this just looks so hard. This looks so difficult. I could never. But yes, you could. But yes, you could. Because there was a time whenever you thought that you couldn't crochet, and now you can, right? I'm giving this pep talk to myself as much as to y'all, because colorwork crochet is something that also intimidates me, but I really want to get into in 2025. It's beautiful and the possibilities are endless. And just like imagine like a beautiful sweater that you can put your own custom artwork on the front of it with yarn. Like that's just so cool. And going off of colorwork, I think that we're gonna see a big resurgence of some crochet stitches that create patterns that maybe we haven't been seeing as much of lately. Like I think that houndstooth crochet is going to become extremely popular in 2025. It just has such like a classy, cool look to it. I feel like you could take the houndstooth stitch and you could like really dress it up. I feel like you could make it look vintage. I feel like there's just so many things that you could do with this. I feel like we're just really gonna see the rise of things like houndstooth, things that aren't necessarily that difficult to do, but they just look super cool. And there's like a lot of different ways that you can style it. Also, if you guys want a houndstooth tutorial, let me know. As you may have noticed, I am currently working on my temperature blanket. And if you're a regular, you will know that this is not my temperature blanket for 2024 or 2023. This is actually my 2022 temperature blanket. And that leads me to my next prediction for 2025. I think in 2025, we are going to start seeing more small crochet challenges. Now, don't get me wrong. I think temperature blankets will always be popular and there will always be people who do temperature blankets. But on top of things like temperature blankets that are a very, very big year-long challenge. I think we're gonna see a lot more small challenges similar to the star blanket challenge where you're supposed to be able to crochet the star blanket within a week. I think we're gonna see so many things like that over the next few years. While I was brainstorming for this video, I was thinking about the temperature blanket and how so many people want to do the temperature blanket but don't necessarily want to take on like an entire year. I think we could see an uptick in things like a temperature project that's only like a month long. So maybe it would be like the month that your baby was born, right? Maybe for that month you crochet a baby blanket. And since obviously you would probably need it to be more than 30 rows, you could do the low, the high, and the average temperature of every single day. And then you would be crocheting a baby blanket that would be 90 rows long. And only doing 90 rows makes it such a smaller project compared to taking on an entire temperature blanket for a whole 365-day year. So I could definitely see some month-long temperature projects becoming popular. This one might just be me being wistful, but something that I think we could see a lot more of in 2025 are crochet wedding dresses. I have followed some creators who have made their own wedding dresses, and y'all, they are gorgeous. Like literally stunning, literally gorgeous. And I just think it'd be so cool if we just started to see more people making their own wedding dresses from crochet. And not even just wedding dresses. I could see crochet bouquets becoming extremely popular. Now, I have never thrown a wedding, but people always talk about how flowers are one of the most expensive things at a wedding. I could see people starting to crochet their own bouquets because I feel like everyone I know who's gotten married has like tried to preserve their wedding bouquet anyways. So if you crochet your wedding bouquet, then you just like have it forever anyways. I don't know. I think that it could be a really cool trend to start in 2025. So if you're a crocheter getting married in 2025, let me know if you like this idea. Another thing that I think is going to be very popular in 2025, and this is something that's obviously always been around, always been popular, but I think we are seeing an uptick in it, are wearables. I think we are going to see so many more crochet wearables. I really think that the hexagon granny square cardigan just like gave so many people the confidence this year to start crocheting wearables, because crocheting wearables is really scary. Like making clothes can be very, very scary. Trust me, I get it. I've only done it a few times. But when I started to watch thousands and thousands of people make the hexagon granny square cardigan and just really realize that they can do it, I feel like I saw all of these crocheters start to get excited about the idea of making their own clothes and sweaters and cardigans and sweater vests and dresses and skirts. And I just feel like the sky is truly the limit with like what we can create. Another thing that I think is going to be really popular in 2025 is crochet mesh. Mesh stitches just like my sleeves. And honestly, I think that this is going to be so popular because I think that in 2025 we are going to see so much more clothing. And I think that people are very, very quickly going to be like almost frustrated with how long clothing takes, and then realize whenever you do mesh stitches, it goes by a lot faster. I made this sweater last spring as like my perfect little spring sweater when it's like still a little chilly out, but also it's getting warm. And so that's why I did mesh stitches. But like I also did mesh stitches because like they're really fast and they look really cool. And I definitely see a rise coming of mesh stitch crochet. Now with our crochet clothing, I don't think that it's going to be just crocheting full pieces of clothing. I think that we are going to start to see crochet thrift flips. Upcycling thrifted clothing is already just like so huge. I watch videos all the time of whenever people like buy a sweatshirt that has like, I don't know, a big stain in the middle of it or something at a thrift store, and then they turn it into like a patchwork sweatshirt instead, and it just like looks so cool. I think we're going to see so much more of that, but where you incorporate crochet. Like for instance, I'm tall, and most of my jeans are too short on me. They're like that awkward length where they don't actually look like capris, but they're not like actually to the ground. I want to take the jeans that I have, or maybe thrifted jeans, or maybe both, and crochet almost like bell bottom type things onto the bottom of it to like make them longer. I'm sure that this has been done before, so I'll try to find a photo of it and like put what I'm picturing over here. But I definitely think we're going to see a bunch of like thrifted and upcycled clothing where the addition to the clothing is crochet. Hi, baby girl. Is it time? Oh, it's time. Oh no, you fell. You're okay. Good girl. Poor baby fell off the temperature blanket. If you're new here, this is Tilly. She's our little angel baby and the star of the show, and she makes an appearance in like every video. We usually don't even have to ask her to make an appearance. She usually just shows up at some point during the video to say hi. Is it time to say hi? Good girl. Oh, you're purring so loud. Now, on the topic of upcycling, I think we're gonna see a lot more upcycled and recycled yarn. I don't know if y'all saw the video that I made for Earth Day this past year of making yarn out of plastic bags, also known as plarn, plastic yarn. But I think this is going to become more and more popular. I think people are going to continue to make yarn out of things like plastic bags and like old t-shirts. Oh, speaking of old t-shirts, okay, I've been really wanting to do this, and I'm gonna share it with y'all because I think that this could like really turn into like a thing, and it could really help keep a bunch of t-shirts out of landfills. So I feel like every time I'm thrifting, I see t-shirts that are from like a very specific event. It'll be like Betty's bachelorette party, or like a t-shirt from where somebody ran a 5K, or like a shirt from someone's like birthday party where they all had matching t-shirts. And it makes me sad because these shirts are made so specifically for one event that I just don't think they're gonna be purchased by anyone. I feel like those t-shirts would be perfect to buy to upcycle into t-shirt yarn. So if you've been wanting to make your own t-shirt yarn, I feel like that could be a great place to start. If you're a regular here, you know how I like to dress, you know how much fun that I like to have with clothes, and I really do want to get more into making clothing. This little sweater is one of my favorite things that I made. I combined the knitting machine to make the front and back panels with crochet to make the sleeves and the collar. And this is a good example that leads me into my next prediction. And this next prediction, I have no reason to predict this rather than I think that it would be cool to see, so I'm going to say it out loud in case you guys also think that it would be cool and want to help me run with it. I want to see more combinations of knitting and crochet together. I have been crocheting for 20 something years, but I just learned how to knit this year, and I am obsessed with knitting now. I love knitting so much, and I love how this looks. I love mixing the different sizes of yarn. I love mixing the different kinds of stitches. I know that obviously this is like my style and my preference, but I just love the way that this little short sleeve turtleneck sweater thing turned out, and I just want to see more combining of different types of stitches, including combining knitting and crochet. And that leads me into my next crochet prediction that isn't really about crochet at all, and that is that I think in 2025 we are going to see so many people learning how to knit. And I know I can already hear the comments, because trust me, I've seen the comments before. I know that a lot of y'all don't want to learn how to knit, or have tried to learn how to knit and say, no, it's too hard, I don't like knitting, I just want to crochet. I get it. I was one of those people for 20 something years, trust me. I learned how to crochet when I was about 9 years old, and around the same time, I tried to learn how to knit and I hated it. I was like, this is awful. Why would anyone do this whenever crochet exists? And then I didn't touch knitting needles until about a year ago. I did a vlog of learning how to knit, and I was like, this is terrible. Why would anyone do this when crochet exists? And then finally, this past summer, I got really sick and I was just like home for a week, and I was like, this is the week. I am going to learn how to knit. And now I am just absolutely in love with knitting. And it's weird because I feel like knitting is like harder to learn initially, and it's less beginner friendly, but the stitches are actually so much easier than crochet. So like once you get the hang of knitting, it's so much easier than crochet. Personally, that is what I personally think. But here's the reason that I think knitting is going to become more popular in 2025. And it's not a good reason. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you know about the nerve damage that I struggle with still to this day. My nerve damage started late 2022. I was trying to catch up on the temperature blanket. I was crocheting an 18-pound Christmas sweater, and I was trying to crochet everyone's Christmas gifts, and I overused my arm and I ended up with nerve damage. I couldn't crochet for most of 2023. I had to do a bunch of occupational therapy. I still have to wear KT tape a lot because it helps alleviate where the nerve damage really hurts. But do you know when my arm doesn't really hurt? When I'm knitting. Now I know that any repetitive motion is going to potentially lead to an injury. So always, always, always take care of yourself. Go at your own pace. Take your time. But for me, I can knit for a lot longer periods of time than I can crochet before my arm starts to hurt. And I have already had a lot of friends and people in my comments start to tell me that they have been learning how to knit because their arm hurts so much when they crochet. Now y'all, we have to listen to our bodies, okay? The moment your arm starts to hurt while you're crocheting or knitting or embroidering or punch needle or anything or painting, like whatever you're doing, playing guitar, take a break. That is your body's way of telling you that you need a break. Do not just keep pushing through. Do not just say, I have to finish the temperature blanket. It's okay. Trust me. The temperature blanket will still be there 3 years from now, staring at you and judging you. It will be okay. Take care of yourself and take care of your body. And I think that there are going to be a lot of people who love using yarn who have started to have their arm hurt from crocheting too much, who are going to pick up knitting in 2025 as a way to keep working with yarn while having less arm movements and less arm pain. You guys have to let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Let me know if you crochet. Do you also knit? Do you want to learn how to knit? Are you never going to learn how to knit? If you knit, do you want to learn how to crochet? Do you already crochet? I love hearing what people's origin stories are with working with yarn, so definitely let me know in the comments. Now I only have one more prediction left for 2025 before I pull out my phone and check my comments and read some of y'all's predictions. But my final prediction for 2025 is that I'm finally gonna finish my 2022 temperature blanket. What do you think, Tilly? Am I ever gonna finish it? She's like, you are never gonna finish that thing. I will. I only have 35 rows left, almost 34 rows left. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish it, Tilly. Believe in me, I can do it. I can do it, Tilly, believe in me. All right, it is time to go and see your comments and see what y'all think is going to be popular in 2025. I predict that Red Heart will continue to release granny square yarns. You know what, Eli? I think that you're right, because I was at Joann's a couple nights ago and I saw that they now have flower granny square yarns where you can make flower granny squares with their color changing yarn. Have you guys used the granny square color changing yarn? I did a video once where I tracked how many times I had to frog the granny square to finally get it right, and it was a lot of times. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a lot of times. I feel like it's still nice to do granny squares without having to weave in any of your ends or cut or retie. It's also really, really good whenever you're traveling because you only have to bring one skein of yarn. You don't have to bring like 4 skeins of yarn, but y'all, the granny square yarn is, it's something. Let me know if you guys have tried the Red Heart granny square yarn and what you think of it. Crochet flowers and crochet flower bouquets and maybe envelope or card holders. Yes, yes. Like I said earlier, I do think that flower bouquets are going to be popular in 2025. I'm predicting jumbo plushies. Me too, me too. Like I said, I just think that people are getting kind of done with like the tiny, tiny plushies. I think that 2025 is the year of the jumbo plushies. I'm predicting to see more kits similar to the Wearables for popular toys or items that would help make the craft more accessible to people starting out. This is definitely true because Squishmallows already has a kit and I bought it and I'm gonna review it for you guys soon. You guys, we are on the same wavelength. I have not read these comments before making this video, and listen to this. Micro crochet is what I think is going to be very popular. But then they said, but I don't think it'll last very long. I could see that, Amelia. I could see that because I do feel like micro crochet is very tedious to actually create. So I think that the demand could be higher than the want to create it. But then again, I've never micro crocheted. If you are a micro crocheter, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Violet says headbands. I think headbands will always be popular, but I could definitely see like more and more and more of those like triangle like headbands, especially the granny square ones. I could definitely see those really popping in 2025. Phone cases and puppets. I love that. I love these predictions. Ooh, I think blankets are going to be much more popular. Also, I love your channel. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's very sweet. I also think blankets could be very popular in 2025. And if you are looking for an easy blanket to do, I do highly recommend this type of blanket right over here. This is called a corner to corner blanket. If you haven't done one before, they're so easy. And I actually made a tutorial for this recently. You can work one of these up in literally like a week. I will link my tutorial if you want to check it out. I really hope to see some new temperature projects. They trend early on in the year, usually, and are a project you don't have to rush. Well, good, because mine's 3 years behind, but that's besides the point. They've become more common, and every year they seem to get more creative and fun. I'm excited to see your predictions. Aw, thanks. I hope that you guys like my predictions. I could definitely see there being some more fun temperature projects. I think my favorite type of temperature project, it's been around for a while, it's not like a new one, but my favorite one that I see people do every year is the temperature snake. It's so cute. It's so cool. I love the temperature snake projects. Sweaters, cat beanies, cardigans, and granny square tote bags. Also, I love your videos. Thank you. Yeah. I definitely think that we're going to be seeing a lot more wearables in 2025. Even more people are saying sweaters, cardigan, and crochet granny squares. I do think that we're going to see people making a lot more crochet clothing. Y'all, I think we're kind of on like the same wavelength here. This comment says, I think amigurumi will start to die down some. The market is so saturated. Maybe more wearables, sweaters and such on my bucket list to make. The next one says, I think animals will either skyrocket even more or completely fade. Interesting, interesting. You guys will have to let us know. Do you guys think that plushie animals are going to skyrocket even more or completely fade? I think they'll never completely fade, but I do think that they are slowly going to be on their way out. Once again, I think that they're always going to be around, and I could even see us having like a massive resurgence of smaller crochet plushies in a few years. But I think this year we're going to see fewer of them. I really do. I think we're going to see more Y2K crochet tops in pink. The rise of Y2K fashion is massive right now, and I keep seeing that like fuzzy, juicy yarn everywhere. I feel like we're going to see a lot of crochet tops made with that like fuzzy, pink, juicy yarn. Debbie says, I think that we might see a few new stitches, or maybe a vintage stitch might come back. Hey, this is kind of what I was saying with like the houndstooth stitch. I think we're going to see some of these stitches really having like a resurgence. Thank y'all for sharing with us your predictions of 2025 crochet trends. If I did not read your comment, or if you didn't get a chance to comment on one of the previous videos or posts, let us know in the comments what your predictions are for crochet trends in 2025, or knitting trends, or crafting trends in general. I just love this little crafty community that we have, and I just love that we can talk about this stuff. And I just thought that ending the year with just like a little cozy video like this, where we just like talk about this next year and what we think is going to be popular in the world of crochet, would just be so much fun. So I hope that you guys had as much fun in this video as I did. I cannot believe that this is our last long form video of 2024. I had been doing short form content for a few years, and this year I made the decision that I wanted to start live streaming and I wanted to start doing long form videos. And so last January, we started Monday Crochet, where every Monday at 5 p.m. Central, we go live and we crochet together for an hour. And then right after the live, we go to the video premiere of the new video of the week. And y'all, I cannot believe that it's almost been a year now of doing that. Y'all have changed my life in so many ways. I appreciate our community so much. Thank you guys for seriously the most magical year. And thank you for being a part of the Sunflower family. If you're new here, welcome, and welcome to the Sunflower family. My name is Auna, and this is Tilly, and we hope you have a happy new year.